I still think that's the best bet. Then, if you want to open a store that's going to sell marijuana, you would have to go to your town council and get the town to approve it. I think that's a fair assessment. The second problem I have, if we're going to go forward and allow this, we're going to pick winners and choosers by limiting the number of stores that are going to sell this. We've heard testimony that marijuana is actually safer than alcohol in many aspects. We sell alcohol in every community practically throughout the state. If we're going to put this on the same playing field as alcohol, why not distribute it? Go through the state, the same as we do with our spirits. That way you have a certification, make sure that you know what you're selling and people know what they're buying. If not, who knows? Yes, I see in here there's certain guidelines, but make sure we meet those guidelines. That's just a couple of my issues.
Representative.
Thank you.
Try your best.
Just a couple of questions. When we started this process, Representative Russell made a presentation. In my notes, I made a couple of notes here that you made the statement that regardless of the outcome of this particular committee, the Citizens Initiative was going to move forward. Is that true?
Answer it?
Yes, I'd like to just get to the bottom of some of this. So I can understand.
Representative Timmons, were you here for my discussion about the Citizens Initiative process and how that works?
Yes.
Okay, because that really answers it. If the committee does not, if the legislature does not pass something this year, then the initiatives will move forward, and that's my point. So if you decide to do nothing, you decide to ought not to pass it outright, it's going to be before you most likely in 2017, and you're going to have the same discussion that you're having now. The difference will be that it's the choice of how to craft the policy will have been made largely for you, as opposed to you designing the policy. So that's my point. Irrespective of what you do, if you choose to vote against the bill, then you end up in a position where you have no control over it. If you do choose to support a bill and move that forward and send it to referendum, then you'll be in a better position policy-wise. But this bill, some version of legalization, will be going to referendum in 2016. It will either come from the people or it will come from us. That's what I mean. Irrespective of what happens, there will be a 2016 referendum. I believe that we would be better charged with crafting a policy, hearing from folks all across the state like we have, and crafting that policy that people get to decide on, as opposed to the yellow and the bushy.
Representative Long? Oh, you're done, Representative Timmons. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. By this going up to referendum, we may be in the same place we are now. You hear different reports from different people you want to listen to. This is going to pass or this isn't going to pass. I have my own opinions on that, but I still trust the citizens of Maine to make the right choices. And I always have, so if the citizens want to bring it forward, I don't have a problem. We have term limits and a number of other issues that brought forward that we agree with, we abide by them, so I trust the citizens.
Okay. I'm just going to respond to that if I could. It goes back to the idea that you're still going to have to make the same policy decisions that you're making now, because many of the pieces that we're talking about are not flushed out because the Citizens Initiative process means you have to have the bill attached. So it's not about trusting the citizens or not. I also trust the citizens. I have my name on two referenda in 2016. The difference is, I think that this is a policy that really does need to be flushed out, and I really do think that folks need to, it's not about crafting it, and when you craft a citizens initiative, those of us that craft citizens initiatives get to craft it without input from other people. I think Mr. Boyer and I have done a lot of work to try to make sure that the people from all across the state have been able to weigh in on the drafting of it. The problem is that you have to keep that entire bill attached to the petition. It gets heavy, and so you have to get us down to the scale of the bill. about trusting the people or not. I think the people are going to vote for it. I wouldn't put my reputation on it if I didn't. The difference is have a fleshed out version that's been crafted in an open and transparent way. If folks don't want to do that, that's fine. But come 2017, we're going to have to deal with this anyway, and I'm not sure I'm going to be here.
Did you have a follow-up, Senator Long?
No.
Okay, Senator Giussani.
Thank you, Board President.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Yes, a lot of your debate last year, and I heard it again this year, and we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
The difference of us sending out to the voters and the voters sending out to the voters. And the difference in our ability to try and regulate it and try and control it somewhat, the two different methods. I think that you use gambling as an example. Either you have or I have, somebody has.
I think we have, Senator Valentino certainly has, but I mean, I think the closer analogy in some respects is the medical marijuana policy, the 2009 referendum. There were a whole host of changes that the legislature had to make after that was approved, that dispensaries were authorized. Originally, it was unlimited dispensaries. The idea was that caregivers, like in Colorado, would be able to turn into retail establishments, and that was the goal. And in fact, that's why Colorado is a little bit different than the structure that I presented here, because the legislature decided that there should only be 8 zones, and that has limited the dispensaries, the retail outlets, and that has been part of the cause of friction within the industry. I don't necessarily think that was a great policy choice. It wasn't really openly debated in the legislature. I was a freshman when it came before us. I thought that if I voted against that bill, I was voting against medical marijuana, and it turns out, after the fact, there were a whole host of things in that policy that folks categorically disagreed with. Furthermore, a lot was done in the rulemaking process, particularly around patient privacy and patient safety. There's a bill every year we have to fight DHHS. I have a bill in this year, 560, that will prevent DHHS from collecting personally identifiable information from patients, because we do not want to put patients on a list unless the federal government decides to come in. So we had a similar scenario. We passed a bill that the legislature did not think was fully crafted. The legislature then had to scramble to put rules in place. And then when they finally did, and we crafted legislation, every year there were fixes to it, and there was an immediate backlash to the bill that was presented, that was passed, because there were so many flaws in it. I don't want to have a flawed policy. I want to make sure that if and when we decide to implement marijuana legalization, that we remove the prohibition, that we do it right, and that we implement it properly. I do not want to scramble in 2017 to try to put a policy together. I think it's bad form.
I'm sure, as Mr. Walker back, I would like to comment on that question.
Sure. Mr. Walker? Senator Giussani.
You were involved with the vaping issue?
Yes.
Professionally. And you've been involved with the marijuana issue medically?
Professionally, yes.
And you know the difference of sending out the referendum to the people and then sending us one gambling and how it's been very difficult. Would you mind a short synopsis of that process?
I think
Or your opinion on the differences?
Right. On whether or not the legislature sends something out
Yeah.
and puts it on the ballot, or whether or not people draft something and put it on. Well, it's like there's been Oxford was put together by a group of citizens who drafted an initiative and put it on the ballot, and it passed by 0.01% of the vote. And there's been a whole series of other efforts for gaming that goes out on the ballot that have not been successful. They've been very unsuccessful by about 10 percentage points each and every time. So But from the legislative's perspective, from sending something out, rather than having citizens put it to the legislature as an initiated bill. So when citizens draft an initiated bill, they give it to the legislature and it becomes a bill, right? And so, but if you vote against it, it still goes out on the ballot. If you vote for it, it passes. Here, we're suggesting that you pass some fleshed out piece of legislation and then ask the citizens for their approval. And it'll be a different process in simply the fact that you won't have to collect 61,000, whatever the number is right now. People know exactly what it is right now, but it's around 61,000, I believe, signatures. You can just simply put it on the ballot, and citizens will vote whether or not they want it or not. And the various sides will make their arguments to the people, directly to the people. Is that?
Well, so really, it's just taking the petition part out that makes the biggest difference.
Collecting signatures.
Collecting signatures. Okay, one further question from Mike. I'm looking for this information. And I know Mr. Walker was involved initially when we had the task force set up for medical.
Right.
And I think you've been involved ever since. Do you see the conflict between what we're currently looking at, recreational marijuana, and how that's going to interrelate with medical?
Well, it's a good question, and it's something that we thought about. We looked at Colorado and saw what happened there and in other states. Our thought here is to create an overlay on top. So the medical marijuana program will continue. It'll continue with an overlay of a legalized market on top. We believe that people do need the stories and seeing, watching people come in to dispensaries, be treated by caregivers. They're real success stories there. It really makes a difference. And so, and with that individual attention, we don't want to lose that. And also the larger amounts that they can buy. Very sick people, with cancer, with spastic issues, with their muscles, spastic, or with seizure issues, they need more than 1 ounce to be able to buy more than 1 ounce. So we want to be able to allow them to be able to continue forward. And so I think all of the versions recognize that medical, and there's real issues for medical to continue, to have direct attention, and also to allow for larger amounts to be bought. And then in each of these, we don't tax it either. So once we have a legal market, that gets taxed at various levels. Medical doesn't get taxed. So we think it can survive as an overlay on top, at least initially.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Joyce?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Walker, thank you for being here today. The sheet that we were given here is the breakdown.
Yes.
Were you part of this?
Yes.
Okay, which?
The first row.
The Dion roll.
Dion.
You're on the Dion bill?
LD 1401.
All right. Well, I'm just looking at this here and being I've had some negotiations and stuff. There's a number of bills, I shouldn't say bills, a number of directions that we can go into. However, I did notice that in the third line over, where Russell, Dion, and MPP agrees.
Yes.
Apparently, there's one group that does not agree. Am I correct?
Where it says disagree?
I guess.
Yeah, there are four.
Right.
There are four moving parts.
All right. Okay. Russell, there's four in all.
Yes.
And in that third line, where I just said Russell, Dion, MPP agree, does that get three or does that include the four? You know where I am?
So
Three squares in.
each of them, so for example, let's just take the first line, personal possession. So we're talking about 1 ounce there, right? So
Right.
Dion Russell, Campaign to Regulate Marijuana all agree on that. Legalize Maine is at 2.5 ounces, so they don't agree.
Okay, all right. Now, I didn't go in. I was somewhat on that scale. I guess what I personally, what I'd be looking for is, all of you have done a great job. You've identified all your areas and everything. In my personal opinion, and to see something that would go to the voters to be agreed upon, is I would like to have one proposal from all 4 entities that would come forward to this committee, so that we don't have to jump all over the place to try to create that particular bill. You following me?
Absolutely.
I think that's critical, and especially for this committee where we have not had as much experience as the 4 groups that were involved here. So I guess that's what I would be looking for. And from there, based on what you've given us previously, we can look at it and like Representative Ned asked pertinent questions. Those may be answered already when that proposal is brought forward, as well as the opt-in and not the opt-out section.
So we spent a tremendous amount of time this year talking, debating, negotiating, really from before session even started talking. We tried. We really tried. I spent a lot of time with everybody back there, and we came very close. And so what we were hoping to do was say, that we have 35 pages of work here, and there's a couple areas that we can't decide amongst ourselves on how to do it. We're looking for your help on those issues.
So what you're looking at this group is mediation, basically.
I was looking more for a judge.
We're going to pull.
Yeah.
We're going to pull you guys together as one. You can't do it on your own. So if today I would agree to the Russell Dion MPP agreement that would be brought forward, would the other individual go out with a people's petition and put out a referendum for themselves? Then you'd have 2 marijuana referendums out there.
Yeah.
That would, to me, cloud up the whole situation.
Well, we're going to have 2. It looks like we're going to have 2 anyway. And we were hoping we could handle this a couple different ways. One was, there's different ideas about this, but to put it on the 2015 ballot, it's coming up pretty soon, but right in front of everything, and it would take care of it a year ahead of time. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to have something that this legislature supported, put its weight behind, with groups coming forward, coming to an agreement, and then we could all work together and make sure that one, the one that everybody worked on, passed. So I think there's 2 ways to do it, to affect it at the ballot box. Or it's going to be, you're right, it's going to be a mess, no matter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can see that as well. However, I can see how difficult you're putting us as a mediation individuals in a position that if 4 of you, 3 of you have come together, but the 4th has not, for us to try to get that individual on board with all the paperwork that you've taken care of, and I'm telling you, you guys did a terrific job here. I have to commend everybody. How do you expect us to get that 4th individual on board?
Yeah, well, we hope that, again, we've been working on this, and there's some big issues, whether or not, and I think this is something that you've heard different. For example, the idea of retail. Do we want retail to be just like alcohol that can be in every town, or do you want more of a limited? That's just a question of policy. That's a question that we have different ideas on, that we've been pushing closer and closer and closer together on. I don't know, maybe throw us, maybe we could come up with, we haven't done it yet. We were hoping that maybe if you had an opinion that on this particular issue, that you could weigh in on, put a little pressure on the various groups. But you're right. I mean, I don't know if there's something that'll make everybody happy.
Representative Jeanette?
I don't know if this is a question for you, Mr. Walker. It's actually on Representative Russell's bill, just as a clarification. On the chart, I see just a quick discrepancy on the tax revenue allocations. On the above box for Representative Russell's bill, I don't see the sales tax piece. It may have been just cut off. And then on the bottom box, it includes the first $30 million annually going towards school construction. I just wanted to confirm that that was the intent, because it shows two different things within the same column. And because I don't know why, there's like two of the same rows, but that discrepancy is there for Representative Russell's bill. I just wanted to clarify that. Is it the first?
So it's the second, look at the second one. It's a repeat of the first one. Look at the second box.
So that second box where Representative Russell said tax revenue allocations, the intent is to have the sales tax piece to be distributed to the first $30 million annually going towards school construction specifically?
Well, and renovation, but I had very limited space, as you can see.
Okay, yeah.
In the bill, it's construction and renovation.
Okay. Okay, thank you.